Good morning, I'm Kristen Folletti and welcome to News Desk on SiliconANGLE TV for Wednesday, April 24th, 2013. Michael Dell's quest to buy back his company continues with recent developments regarding private equity firms and their unwillingness to participate in a process called go shopping. Are these private equity firms passing up on a good opportunity, or is Dell a sinking ship? Join us now to provide his breaking analysis is SiliconANGLE founding editor Mark Risen-Hopkins. Good morning, Mark.
Morning.
Dell's going through a protracted set of buyout proceedings in response to Michael Dell's efforts to buy back his company. So, Mark, can you briefly describe the latest developments from today?
So this is something that it's based on some events that have happened over the last, I would say, maybe a week or two. We'd previously covered the fact that private equity firm Blackstone Group had exited the bid for buying Dell. There's a whole thing going on right now, kind of like as you said, it sort of revolves around Michael Dell and his desire to buy back his own company, or buy back the company he started. So the thing that they're doing now is called go shopping, and this was written up today in the deal book over at the New York Times. And he describes the go shopping as a process that typically is provides the target company shops that are a process that allows folks to kind of find bidders in kind of a way that, and this is how he put it, a target company shops like Paris Hilton, looking to see if another bidder is willing to compete after an initial bid has been put in. So, it's not exactly the most well thought out process. I mean, if you put yourself into a process, like if you think of it like eBay, you're buying something on eBay, and the auction starts before you get there. The person who bid before you knows exactly what the reserve price is, and they know exactly how much the buyer is willing to take, what the exact value is. They've gone through a whole appraisal process, and you're just a blind shopper on eBay. That's a little bit like how the go shop process works, and the numbers kind of bear out the effectiveness of what you think that model would be. And about 6% of companies that enter the go shopping process actually end up being getting competitive bids. Most companies, most private equity firms, or any bidders don't want to participate in this sort of a process.
The New York Times described in great detail the pitfalls of an investment ritual called the go shop process, which you described, saying that they're rarely successful at getting more than one bidder to compete for the purchase of a company. Why then do you think Dell as a company went with that procedure?
So I have to think that this is by design. So the process, I mean, so when you have a public company, you have a responsibility to the shareholders, and certainly Michael Dell is a shareholder in Dell, but as are millions of investors and thousands of stakeholders, and the board members themselves, all hold interests, competing interests in Dell to Michael Dell himself. Michael Dell wants the lowest price he can possibly get for his company without signaling to the market that it's the company is just about to collapse or something. So he's wanting to get a reasonable price, and I think that price is something like $14 or $16 a share or something like that. I'd have to go pull up the number exactly, but that was the last bid that I saw that Dell put in, and they accepted that bid. But the responsibility of the shareholders is they've got to go get some competing bids. Just like government has puts out bids on a job, they've got to get competing bids just to kind of make sure that there's a marketplace to buy it. The go shop, as we said, is like the least effective way to get competing bids, but it does satisfy the requirement to the shareholders while still allowing Michael Dell a fair shake at buying his own company back. So I think back to other kind of situations where things look like a failure from Wall Street's point of view, but it was actually by design. We don't have to go that far back. Go to the Facebook IPO. Um, you know, Mark Zuckerberg sold his shares in the company at what he wanted to, the value he wanted to, and he engineered a deal with a Wall Street firm that would get him the value he wanted. Now, of course, the marketplace, once those shares were starting to be publicly traded, plummeted because the market didn't agree with what Mark Zuckerberg thought his shares were worth. But Mark Zuckerberg and his shareholders in Facebook got their money, got the money they wanted. And so I think we're looking probably a similar situation here. We're looking at Michael Dell working with his board to create a situation where, yes, there's competition for his bid on Dell, but it's not real competition. He's going to get what he wants.
The New York Times also called Dell a melting ice cube, citing the free fall of the PC business. Do you agree with their sentiment?
Not at all. And so this is, I think, the exact reason why Michael Dell wants to take his company private. I mean, this in a nutshell, you couldn't say it any better. So we've covered Dell as a company quite extensively. We even had Michael Dell on the Cube back in December, but we've been going back with Dell for years. We covered one of their major acquisitions, Compellent, at VMworld 2010. Then we went to Dell Storage Forum, the inaugural one down in Orlando in 2011. 2012, we went to Dell Storage Forum in Boston, and then we went to the Dell World down in Austin. So we know Dell inside and out at SiliconANGLE. And yes, Dell has its problems. The melting ice cube thing comes from the perception on Wall Street that Dell is a company that is only about the PC and they live and die by the PC. And this is a problem that the Dell as a company saw coming a long way out and started diversifying back into the storage business, back into enterprise, recreating their channel business so that they wouldn't live and die by the PC. Yes, it is a significant portion of the revenue. But even on the PC side of things, we talked with Barton George just last week at OpenStack. He's works very closely with the DevOps stuff that Dell is into. And they created a special version of the laptop that boots on Linux and is engineered for the developer. You don't see that from any other company. If you're a developer and you don't buy a Dell, your choices, if you want to develop on the web, is you buy a computer with the Windows license, you nuke the hard drive, and then you install Linux and whatever you want on top of it. That's your option if you want a laptop for developing for the web. So Dell has very custom PC. They bought Alienware for PC gamers. They even bought Wise, a multi-billion-dollar purchase. Our friend Tarkin Maynor, who is the CEO of Wise, has been on the Cube many times, is working to create the thin client PC revolution, and has even since he was at Dell had a little team put together to create a PC on a thumb drive. You plug it into any screen that has a keyboard input output, and you've got a PC. And it was insanely cheap. These are like sub $100 machines. They're really innovating in a lot of areas, and to call them a melting ice cube is to seriously sell Dell short. Yes, they've got some issues, but they're working to fix them and have been for a long time.
So I know you just mentioned a few, but are there other areas that you feel Dell is working on and innovating in the PC space?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So at Dell World this year, we've talked about like all the off the beaten track stuff, like the thin clients and the DevOps machines. But I'm not unimpressed with Dell's Ultrabook offerings and their hybrid laptop offerings. These were nice machines. And I said as much on the Cube, and we were reviewing them firsthand. They announced them on stage there at Dell World in December. We got a little bit of hands-on time there in Austin, and the only complaint I could come up with these machines, they run fast, they have the specs, they've got the touch screens. They're just a little bit bulky, and that'll come down with time. But they've got a competitive price point, which is something their main competitor in this space, HP, can't say. They've got a competitive price point on these Ultrabooks that make them a much more appealing option if you're not an enterprise buyer buying in bulk.
Well, Mark, it looks like that's our time for this morning, but thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Absolutely.
And catch up on all of the top tech headlines with your SiliconANGLE Daily Roundup. That's coming up next here on News Desk.